Professor.
Good shit. Late to every episode. Late so much, I'm going to have to buy you a pregnancy test.
Bob Rude.
I want to be a podcaster. Yay!
His mama named him Kenta. I'm going to call him Kenta.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcasting school is really paying off for you.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Oh my God, mine just stopped recording. No, we're good. We're still recording.
What a dick.
What kind of game is it?
War games. Let a war game.
You're our impressionist.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing I've said in the last half hour.
Fuck Nia Jax. Fuck you in that storyline. You went with Joey Janela.
Yeah.
He has that face that I just want to fucking punch.
He's the dollar store version of John Moxley.
The first ever promo wars, we are flipping a nail file. How many times has the Bucks dropped their pants? You laid there and just let them just shower you with their wrestling matches.
Bark like a dog.
Oh, Jinx, holy shit. How did that actually happen?
Here we go.
Good deja vu. That's right. I'm doing this part again because we did it again. Not O.D.M. This one is on me. Recorded half of a show without hitting record. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready. We're fucking fired up. It's the Top of Wrestling podcast. I don't even know what to say other than welcome back and welcome to the show, Mr. O.D.M.
Man, you ain't meet no Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra. Huh. I don't know.
Fuck you! And fuck you! Who's next?
Oh shit! We have Coming to America.
Yeah.
I had to put myself in the barber shop.
Man, stop binging
All right,
on
so-
those chicken nuggets, man.
No. Hang on. What's crazier? I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah, this is our second run at today, right?
I threw you off, huh?
He threw me off, son of a bitch.
We won't count
I'm
that
not-
one
you
against
know what?
We won't count that one against you.
Hey, I still got it right, but that's all right. Guess what?
You're recording still?
I'll just go ahead and I am recording. That's good news. But I'll even just give it away. He started with a Dumb and Dumber quote, man. Yeah, taking one off your plate now. But he started with a Dumb and Dumber quote, so I was like, oh, cool. Probably just do that again. Haha. Break. We'll just, do a little kayfabe to it. Bastard. You bastard. You threw me off.
Yeah.
That's all right. I feel good about it because now she's your...
Hey, it gives you an opportunity to put the soul glow drop in.
Just
Don't worry.
Come on,
I won't
try and hit
expose
it.
Oh, hell no.
Come on, I hit
You know
Wednesday
what?
Night Wars last week.
What? I'll try to record a drop. It'll probably take me about an hour to get something usable, but we'll get there. We'll do that.
Have
off
the kid,
podcast.
have the kids take the that plastic yellow wiffle ball bat that you get and beat the shit out of your nut for a while. Well, hey, welcome back to the show. Today, we are ready because this is the show that I have been waiting for since we started this whole thing. I remember coming to you and saying, let's do a podcast. You came to me. You said, let's do a podcast. It took a couple of different conversations. We finally figured it out. And I said, we got to do one thing for sure, man. You said, what's that, man? And I said, F the Attitude Era. And you said, wow, cool. Let's start very negative. Well, look at it. I'm not necessarily wanting to speak negative, but hey, man, it is the podcast. It's the freedom of speech, if you will. I have a lot. I definitely have a lot to say when it comes to F the Attitude Era. But we knew that it would make a 4 to 5 hour show if we debated everything because you, on the opposition, are a very big fan of the Attitude Era, rightfully so, and that's okay, as are a lot of people. You know what? A lot of people didn't like the Patriots until they started winning, so that's cool. Oh, it really is fun to see him losing, though. So, Bills 2-0. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna be. We're gonna have to start having the Bills make me. I was just gonna say we're gonna have to add the shout song every week just to have a Bills update. But next week, we are going to do the opposition of it. It's going to be the highest peak of pro wrestling with an attitude, because that's exactly what it would be. We're talking about what was the most profitable, the biggest time ever in pro wrestling. We all know it was the Attitude Era. The most merchandise, pay-per-views, everything sold. But today I'm here to thrash all of that. So I hope you at least make it to the top topic to see how it starts. But this week we are going to begin, as we always do, with a little bit of news with O.D.M. What you got?
Well, one thing that we're actually
We have to scroll all the way back up to the top because we did all the fucking news.
God damn it. AEW, we're going to talk a lot of signings. AEW, actually, I'm going to go right through the list. AEW has signed Will Hobbs and Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb had that great match with Thunder Rosa. It was good to see her. And Will Hobbs, I think you and I were both impressed immediately in the Casino Battle Royale. He's already in a 6-man tag with Moxley and Allen going up against Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Lance Archer. So
I would say somewhat pushed to a main event scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
Type thing. You know what's funny is that, I thought Jeff Cobb was eventually going to be signing with AEW, but he signed, from what it looks like, with New Japan.
Absolutely.
But this is I don't want to say he's your replacement by any means, because I think it's two totally different guys, and I like both guys. But Will Hobbs, already being pushed, I like it. You and I talked, he has the athleticism, he has speed, he has ring awareness, he has a great look. Serena Deeb, that's a ring general when it comes to women, if I've ever seen one. And I'm excited to see her. But one thing that's interesting is that, he was on your recent pay-per-view. She was on Dynamite. And now they're being signed to a contract. I like that. Tip your toe into the water a little bit. Let's see if the people like you. If they don't, we appreciate you coming by. Here's your paycheck. Because if people don't bite, this may not be the company for you. Wouldn't it be cool if they were contract workers? You know what I mean?
Imagine that. Or imagine having both options. And when you're actually an employee, you're actually an employee. When you're actually a contractor, you're actually a contractor. Imagine that.
Well, you know what? I actually don't see it here on our news. I will say this. Miro said that he has the ability to go to New Japan if he wants to as well. He worked it because he wants to be an independent contractor, and he's working with the right guys. When you work with Cody, the Bucks, all those guys, they get it. Those are the guys that wanted to have that kind of lifestyle. So they're granting it to him. Moxley, Y2J. Is Lance Archer maybe still a part of New Japan? I don't know. I mean, he was, at the Wrestle Kingdom against Moxley, so, only 9 months ago, if you will. So we'll see where that goes. Please, with the news. My bad.
No worries, man. I'm used to it by now. So we're back to signings here.
Still recording.
Yep, we're good. We're still good. Jeff Hardy re-signed with WWE. I don't have any details on the contract, but, hey, all right, that's not a surprise there. And Rey Mysterio actually signed a 3-year deal. So let's just revisit what we talked about. Professor brought up a good point the first time around about having, because I said, do you really expect him to wrestle in 3 years?
Rey Mysterio, no. I think he's going to be sprinkled in here and there for the next couple of years. Your big pay-per-views, I'm sure. Maybe a Raw here and there, but I don't think we're going to see him on a full-time schedule. But what I did bring up was Dominic becoming a little more established now. It's not a bad idea to have Ray in his corner as a manager for the next couple of years as well. To which your awesome idea would be where Dominic eventually says, Dad, not only am I a better wrestler than you, I'm still taller than you. You didn't bring that part up. That was mine. I'm going to definitely coin that one. But I don't need you anymore. And we get a father-son match.
You're not my real dad.
Wow. Oh, man, AEW has Vicky. If we could only bring Vicky back. Oh, shit, that would be such an awesome custody battle, part 4. So... But then also on Raw, we see Seth Rollins kicks Buddy Murphy to the curb. I'm okay with this because I want him to succeed in other areas other than being a lackey. I want him to have opportunities. Who can forget his Australia pop when he won that Cruiserweight Championship? To me, that was huge. It was Australia. Yeah, okay. But who came to to Buddy Murphy's aid? Rey Mysterio's daughter. You're 16. You're beautiful. I'm going to jail. The problem is that the entire Mysterio family, I think, is a part of this 3-year contract because the entire family was at ringside during a steel cage match on Monday. Interesting for sure. Something that's not in our news, something we didn't bring up earlier. I was just thinking about people who are at ringside, right? I'm like, you have a whole family. Well, I guess that's COVID related. That's smart, right? These people can be within 6 feet of each other. Let's bring your entire family into the ring. I'm not 100% sure which team it was, but it is, I think, for football. They had the Mega Powers sitting in the stands. You had Hulkster, Macho Man, and Liz sitting next to each other, all cardboard cutouts in the stands for one of the games the other day. The best part is that Liz is sitting on one side, Hogan's in the middle, and then Savage. I was like, someone knew what they were doing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool. But
if you wanted to get really crazy with it, you could have put Lex Luger on the other side of Elizabeth.
Oh, that is too soon and too awesome. Wow.
Going deep.
He did. Too deep.
Yeah,
anyway.
wow. Anyway.
But other signees, we got Wade Barrett. He's going to be with NXT, or at least WWE, under the umbrella with them for the next year at least, which is great. Excellent on the mic. But we also have... you and I talked a touch about this right before all my recording went to shit for no reason. Daniel Cormier. Yep, that's how I'm saying it. Daniel Cormier.
Okay.
Reveals that he's in very early talks with WWE. O.D.M, your thoughts?
We basically boiled it down to one of two things. Either he thinks that he can just go to WWE and say, yo, I want to do this. That would be so cool, right? We should do this, right? And then that's early
And Triple H is just like, cool.
Yeah,
good stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah, cool story,
We're
bro.
in talks.
Or WWE pitched something to him and he just spilled the beans without thinking about it, or purposely.
Do you still have that nearby, that quote of what he said he would do?
Yeah, it basically said, start me off at the commentary table, let me call matches for 6 months. I love how he just picked 6 months. I don't know why he chose that.
That's why it sounds like this shit was really pitched to him. And guess what's in 6 months?
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
Exactly. Yep, and then after that 6 months, what if I'm sitting next to Michael Cole and Roman comes over and smacks the microphone out of my hand? And it's basically just him, like, either fantasy booking or him just saying verbatim what WWE pitched to him.
One or the other, so we'll find out what it is. But either way, I don't care. I didn't care about Tyson Fury. I didn't care about Cain Velasquez. I don't care about Cormier. Okay.
Cormier. Well, hey, this one's for you, Professor, because I know you're excited about a return this week to NXT UK.
Oh, yeah. That's right. The Bruiserweight is finally back. I'm not going to lie, I jumped onto the bandwagon of I'm going to say the Chicago match with him and Tyler Bate. I think that's a lot when all of us were like, holy shit, this guy can go. But there's not a bad match that I've seen out of him. I love watching all of Pete Dunne's matches. Just watched one recently with him and Jordan Devlin when he was a champion. And he just had matches with everybody. And he's very adaptable. Look at how he played such the small fish getting beaten up by Walter. You know what I mean? Like I just can't wait to see him on TV again. Speaking of Walter, read something that he admitted he really feels he never should have been in that Survivor Series match last year. He full-blown admitted he did not need to be a part of that thing. He said, I wasn't a part of it. He goes, those guys weren't there for me. He kayfabed it a bit, but said, I really shouldn't have been there last year. I'm like, that's pretty fucking true. Like, because they made you look little.
Yep. Yeah, they made him look like a jobber.
He should have been all the way to the very end, or at least counted out because he was beating the fuck out of somebody. That would have been fine with me. But anybody else returning or anybody else signing or anything like that?
I think that's the end of that news, but something that I think this is what we were in the middle of when we realized what was going on here.
Yes.
It looks like Thunder Rosa and Eva Lisa were shooting a little bit in the match. It looks like...
Oh, my God, my recording's not working.
Oh, fuck you. You can't use that joke again. It's my turn. Thunder Rosa felt that she was being made to look bad because Eva Lisa was no-selling some of the offense. There was talks that they were had some dissension backstage prior to the match. People that were there live said that it was kind of uncomfortable at points, and they're still planning on doing the Rosa and Shida versus Eva Lisa and Diamante next week, and one wrestler's kind of surprised about that. But yeah, it was a pretty hard-hitting match, and at time there was a couple times where they blurred that line, and it's good. Who knows? This still could just be a work, but
I did watch it, and it did look, if she was told not to no sell, then good job. You did that, because she looked like she was she looked like she was not selling a lot of Thunder Rosa stuff.
Yep.
But the one part that got me was Ivalice's kick to Thunder Rosa's back, and Thunder Rosa decides to no sell and just punches her in the gut. I mean, like, hard. And I was like, ah, shit. Like,
yeah, right.
It looked like it was a potato with a receipt. You know what I mean? Like,
there you go.
Everybody was kind of... I'm not sure if that's how it began, and it started getting worse from there, or that was the plan. I don't know if they want to keep blurring that line, but, I mean, how different is that than Kota Ibushi basically punching Okada in the skull at Wrestle Kingdom? Or is it any different than Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher just recently? Where you're blurring that lines and taking those real hard hits. So I don't know. If it is a work, good job. It looked pretty shootish to me. I mean, or at least where the match was there. And because you watch, man, she was being thrown around and taken, like, Ivy Lease was taking some hard hits, quote unquote hard hits.
She was just bouncing back and just returning.
Yeah, but she was just like, ow, and turning and like bouncing right up. And I was like, okay, yeah, people are right. I am seeing it. But if that was your plan, good job. If not, I'm glad the Thunder Rosa hit you as hard as she did.
Yeah, seriously. And she's also known to be a bit of a big time striker, striker.
Yeah, totally.
So, you were kind of talking about, it'd be great with AEW, because they actually contract their employees and people are able to go elsewhere. Where one of the things Jon Moxley missed out on during his elbow injury was Bloodsport, and it looks like he's going to be making that debut next month.
That's exciting. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, which is under the GCW umbrella. And I'll tell you right now, the last one had people like Santino Marella. Now you're going to be like, really? That sounds like a joke. Nope. Dude came in with his martial arts background, and it was shoot wrestling style.
Right.
Also on this card was Killer Cross. I mean, we're talking some guys that could really go and take some hits. Davey Boy Smith Jr. was a part of this. Who was the other guy? Oh, man, I can't remember right now. But either way, I just watched it just not too long ago. So the fact that Moxley is going to get into this, huge. That is huge. First time I saw this was actually, it was a WrestleMania weekend a couple years back when they kind of started debuting the Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. If you haven't watched it, here's something that, excellent segue, man. If we're talking about hard hitting, this stuff is blurring the lines. It's the same as the Thatcher Riddle match. They're hard hits. It's going to seem extremely real. It's not going to be the storyline wrestling. It's hard shoot type fighting. Shoot work. Woot. We'll call it a woot.
No.
Whatever. God damn, you're such a dick after I stopped recording. Wow.
I know, right?
One mess up.
No, and it's hilarious when you think about it, because isn't this what basically Raw Underground is trying to be?
Yep, 100%. They're trying to do everything that everybody did. Look at that, Raw Underground. You're taking a little bit of Lucha Underground. You're taking a little bit of the Blood Sport. You're taking... Yeah, stop it.
Exactly.
I think anything that has Shane McMahon on it, you're going to hear that today. Holy shit. But anything that has Shane McMahon attached to it, it sucks.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
WrestleMania, let's just take a quick walk on memory lane here,
Here
okay?
we go.
Comes back. WrestleMania 32. Got to fight for that lockbox. No one ever found out what the fuck was in the lockbox. And Shane McMahon loses. He's not allowed to run anything. You got to get out of WWE. Next night, here's the keys to Raw. Huh? Okay. WrestleMania 32 fights AJ Styles. WrestleMania 33, he fights... No. Yes. No, 32,
No.
he fought...
Taker.
Taker. I'm sorry. 33, AJ Styles. 34 tags with Daniel Bryan in his huge comeback. For real? You had to be a part of that? Oh, let's also give you the Miz at 35. Oh, he's the best in the world. That one tapped my fucking ass. Finally, a one-night tournament. You know, there's something I threw out to you recently that I want to do as a show. Concepts. Broken concepts. Things that are gone, you know? One is a one-night tournament. We finally had it. Crown Jewel, we're going to have a one-night tournament. 8 guys. It looked huge. All the guys on the card were... You're like, okay, I don't give a fuck who wins. It's going to be all these great matches. Comes down to the finals, and Shane McMahon wins in a wife beater in 3 minutes. Piss on you. Sorry, I'm just practicing and getting ready for today's F the Attitude
Okay,
Era.
I guess
Please,
so.
on with the news.
All right. Undertaker says Vince McMahon
Fuck
hated
Shane
the ending
McMahon.
to the last ride. Basically, you know, the ending of Last Ride was Taker pretty much saying he was retiring, but he also threw that line in there of, you can never say never. And basically, Vince doesn't like that because it's Taker's actually putting his foot down and saying, yeah, I'm done, man. And Vince
It was
like
Vince's
that,
idea to put the never say never line in there.
Yep.
That's so Vince. And it's like, well, if we're going to put this on here, pal, you at least have to say that. But Taker's done. He's saying he's done.
Yep.
He's done. There's no way he's coming back. He went off as a character. You know what I mean? Like, he started in 1990 as a dead man and went out in a boneyard match 30 years later, right? You know what I mean? 40? 30? Sorry, I'm bad with math. You know
Not
what
that old.
75 years later? No. But my point is that he could not have written a better write-off. So
Yeah,
I was going to say send-off. Thank you. So, no, he's done. It was Vince just wanted to at least put that out there to keep people tuning in every week in case The Undertaker shows up for one more match against someone.
Yeah.
Ain't happening.
There's that. Timothy Thatcher's been added to the NXT Gauntlet Eliminator. He's the 4th person, in addition to Kushida, Kyle O'Reilly, and Cameron Grimes. So there's one spot left to be filled. Match it's typical to it's similar to a typical Gauntlet match. 2 people start the match.
Yes.
And then every 4 minutes somebody comes in. It's kind of like a Gauntlet match mixed with War Games and No Cage, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But last man standing gets to challenge Balor at the next takeover for the title. So, you know, we'll see what happens. It's a good group of people. Do you think that the final spot will be the winner, or do you think one of this group of 4 is going to be the one to get the match with Balor?
Well, all right. So is that match happening tonight?
No. Well, see, it's weird because it says with one spot to be filled between now and Wednesday night. So I don't know if that means they're just going to announce that 5th person on this Wednesday's episode, and then the match is, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. But either way, the match is. I think the match is this week.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm just. This is how I've always been. Just work with me on this here. You said 5th spot. You mean 4th? Nope, 5th. You're right. I'm sorry. So let's imagine a match now with Kushida versus Finn Balor for the world title. Could be good, but we know Kushida's not taking the title.
Sure.
So I think it's too early to make him. Too early to put him in the world title picture.
Right.
Not against him staying around in the NXT roster and eventually getting into that. Totally fine with that. Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Is it time for the next Undisputed Era guy to go forward? And maybe Kyle, well, I don't know. He kind of showed signs of being a good guy this past week by beating up when Ciampa was beating up someone. He goes, "Why you got to do that, man? You're fighting him next week. Why you got to do that?" I go, "Are you fucking kidding? Even as a good guy, what?" It was weird. I don't mind O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. The other opportunity could be Timothy Thatcher versus Balor. Did we see that already?
It was a triple threat, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Yeah, that was I think the triple match qualifier for the North American title with Damian Priest.
I think that could be an excellent. I think that'll be probably where they're going to go with it. I don't think it's going to be Cameron Grimes because, the last competitor. The only thing I would say is, well, we know Cross is out for a while. It's not going to be Velveteen Dream. The only thing I would see is possibly Roderick Strong to put a little bit of tension in the Undisputed Era, or maybe even just Adam Cole. It's not going to be Ciampa. It's not going to be Austin Theory. Maybe Bronson Reed.
Gargano.
Nah, I'd really hope not.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, but yeah.
I think it's going to be Thatcher taking the win, personally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whoever that last person is, doesn't matter. I think Thatcher's going to go for the win.
All right. You heard it here first. All right. Well, I'm going to leave the last one up to you. This is more of your wheelhouse, although just looking at the names, I'm sold.
So, the NXT, I'm sorry, not NXT.
Not
I'm
NXT.
Getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The New Japan G1 Climax 30, off and running. A couple of nights have already happened. Night 1, Ibushi defeats Okada in the main event, taking 2 points. And in the second night, main event with Block B, Naito defeats Tanahashi. We're off to the races. First, Ibushi said that he is planning to have a god-like G1. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. I think I know what that means, but I don't know what that means. But other people taking wins in that tournament so far. Kenta, which is huge. Jay White, excellent. We need a good heel to take a couple of points in there. Will Ospreay, we were just talking about him a couple of weeks ago. Back in the running, back doing what he loves, which is awesome. That's it's good for the mind, good for the soul. Minoru Suzuki takes a win. Zack Sabre Jr., and I fucking don't understand this one, man. Toru Yano. I don't get what they're trying to do with him.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is like Colt Cabana going for the world title right now.
Right?
I don't get it. Good things. I've never been disappointed by the G1. This week we're already off with a couple of different matches that were taking place. Toru Yano beat Sonata. That one gets me. But Evil, who was also just the world champion, lost in his first round match. A lot of things going on. Who knows? Anybody's game. Juice Robinson, by the way, also picking up a victory.
Nice.
Take that, WWE.
Yeah, right. Never a shortage of talent and great matches. So good shit.
This coming Sunday, we do have some good shit coming up in just a moment here. Also, we'll talk about this Sunday, Clash of Champions. Oh man, oh man. This match bothers me. All right, I'm just gonna go down the list real quick, and we'll both say who's winning, who's not. But a Wambulance match. I don't get it. I've never understood and or liked an ambulance match or a Wambulance match. It's for the world title, so we're going to call it a Wambulance match. Drew McIntyre defending against Randy Orton. Then, your other world title match on SmackDown for the Universal Championship is Roman Reigns defending against his cousin, Jey Uso. I am not sold for the first 2 championship matches, got to be honest with you. Won't be tuning in. The only thing that is making me want to tune in at all, well, hang on. let me back up here. Bayley's going to be taking on Nikki Cross, so that is going to be a title defense that stays with Bayley, unless Sasha comes in, screws her over, and then they just have a feud without a championship, but that would be stupid.
It would be.
Your women's tag team match, there's no way that the Riot Squad are now going to upset Baszler and Jax this quick after they just won the championships. And Cesaro and Nakamura, if they lose the championships to fucking Lucha House Party,
It's all over.
It's for both of them.
Yeah.
That would be, I'll cry. But the only match I want to tune in for, if you guys are smart, open this show with this.
Hell yeah.
For 2 reasons. 1, get your digital crowd invested. 2, I can turn it off after that. It is going to be a triple threat intercontinental title match. And we just talked about that title, right? Well, I'm not saying this match is going to bring prestige to it, but at least it's synonymous with a match that it had been fought over for many years, a ladder match, with Jeff Hardy defending against AJ Styles and Sami Zayn. Sammy's hair, better than ever.
Yeah, right.
I don't care who wins. Actually, I just want to see a really good match between all 3 guys. That's pretty much it. That's all I can say about this pay-per-view. I don't even really care about who comes out that match as a winner.
Yeah, I agreed. It really is really the only one that you look at and say, yeah, okay, I'll invest the time into that one. Yeah, it's tough too because, you know, Styles had it and he didn't have it long, kicked it over to Hardy. Zayn had it and then they took it away from him, so I can't see them putting the title back on Zayn just yet. I think
Daniel Bryan was a part of it for a minute, and then he hasn't been really seen since what? Maybe WrestleMania, I would almost probably venture to say.
Yeah, I haven't seen him a lot either. So yeah, I'd say Hardy's probably going to keep it, but yeah, I think it's definitely the best match on paper and one that I'm interested in seeing.
I take that back. He was at Money in the Bank and all that stuff. Here I'm saying WrestleMania. It's probably the last time I cared about seeing Daniel Bryan.
Well, there's that too, yeah, for sure.
Well, you know, we talk about some bad things, some good things, some bad shits, and, of course, some good shit. And it's time for...
Nobody in the whole building but us, Nightwing.
Wing.
Eh?
It's Nightwing.
Really? Huh. Guess I was thinking of that goofy mullet you used to have. Yeesh, that was like a whole decade of bad hair days.
This is such good shit.
It's been a pretty interesting week in wrestling. It's been a pretty interesting week in the world. And I just wanted to start off this section by giving a little bit of my bio. I mean, I am Nightwing the Analyst, and I want y'all to know why I am the Analyst. Because, well, period and point blank, I'm actually a trained military intelligence analyst. I'm not going to say what discipline, but I am a trained analyst. And one of the biggest things that we analysts do is we look for patterns. So, with that being said, WWE has very quietly, for the last few years, gone on and done a little unofficial season. They have had faction season, basically starting from September on until about Survivor Series. And that's why, because they're trying to set up Survivor Series for everybody. So, with that being said, I am very happy, and my good shit of this week is the fact that faction season is here. Now, on my first attempt on doing this podcast, which we had absolutely horrid audio from myself, we actually talked about a very potential faction, and we will see if that potential faction is setting up come payback. But as of right now, that is my good shit. We're going into faction season. Let's see what we have with these teams getting set up for Survivor Series. Let's see what NXT has to offer as far as that stuff goes, because I do think that they are going to continue with having a Survivor Series light with NXT. And I also think that we might even see some main roster competition, maybe going with, like, you know, not necessarily a pre-show, but we also might see a Survivor Series light kind of match with NXT with, you know, some mid-carders or whatever. But we'll see what we got.
So I agree. I definitely agree with Nightwing. This is faction season. It's upon us. However, it's not here to stay. It never is. Hate to break it to you, brother. it's just not the thing that's going to stick around, because besides the Hurt business, I don't see other factions being made. The reason Reigns and Heyman are probably together, probably just because Reigns talks like shit on a mic, I guess, at the end of the day, for him to be a solid heel. I think that we could see some good Survivor Series matches, but I gotta be honest with you, man. I think the faction days are personally over. I don't know. What do you think? O.D.M.
I mean, it's AEW definitely has that proclivity to lean towards stables. We're going to be talking about that shortly because they're kind of teasing another one already. So, I can see it. WWE, I mean, I think it's easy to see the whole Reigns story playing out, and possibly with the Usos and Naomi. There's a lot of possibility. And then you've got Retribution. So maybe that's like their new thing. Those two groups go against each other. But ultimately, I think it's AEW likes their factions. They're going to stick with that, and WWE doesn't know what they're doing half the time. So,
hey, prove me wrong. Well, it's so much better when we were sitting by the fire and I could scream out this part, but
Wednesday Night Wars!
all right, so Wednesday Night Wars was not bad this week. One thing for sure is something I talked about with you guys. I loved last week. Shotzi Blackheart started the day before they even hit the ring that night. Shotzi Blackheart starts the day with a little promo video where she takes a staple gun and staples to her chest. What was it? Come hurt me or something like that? Because
just hurt me. I think
hurt me because a couple of weeks ago, Io said, "I like you. Don't make me hurt you." And Shotzi said that's a threat. But then, God damn it, Shotzi lost. But good showing. Good showing. But Tommaso Ciampa destroys and defeats Desmond Troy. Kushida defeats Austin Theory. Breeze Dango. They retain over Imperium. Or wait, was that a tag title match or no? Yes, it was a tag title match.
It was. Yeah.
Yep, and Caden Carter and Casey Canizaro defeat. Is it how do you Zealy? Zealy. And Jesse. Not going to talk about her anymore. Drave Maverick, motherfucker. How is this guy still on TV? I'm getting upset with this. He was against the entire Undisputed Era in a handicap match, which ended in a no contest. And then in our main event, the TNT,
we ain't there yet.
Freudian slip. In our, Jesus Christ, I swear to God, I almost said TNT again. In our North American Championship title match,
there it is.
Damian Priest, he defends and retains against Timothy Thatcher. And this match really, I think, just tops on everything we already talked about last week about Damian Priest, how awesome he is. I think that Thatcher took him to the limit. Great match. So, what happened with AEW?
AEW started off, it was a match between FTR and Jurassic Express, a non-title match. But as Jurassic Express were sitting in the ring waiting for FTR, Young Bucks came out and super kicked referee Mike Posey and then just walked backstage. Reached in their pocket, was it Matt? Oh my God.
Hardy.
Matt Jackson. Yeah, Matt Hardy.
Oh.
There you go. That's the guy I'm thinking of. Matt Jackson reaches in his pocket and pulls out like a stack of money, and it's like $5,000 because that's what they got fined last time. And they walk by Gorilla where Tony Khan is, and they just toss it towards him. So apparently that's their new shtick now.
They're so badass.
They're gonna super kick people and then throw $5,000 at Tony Khan. Okay, yeah, I guess that's where we're going with that. All right. Anyway, FTR defeated Jurassic Express. It was, I kind of want to see more out of FTR, not things.
Well, I mean, if you're going to fight all your teams in AEW, you got to fight Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that is true, I guess. We go to a backstage. Matt Hardy was laid out, and Jericho and Hager start mocking him. So, again, I don't know, man. It's just too soon. Adam Page and Frankie Kazarian had a really tight match. Omega was on commentary. They're kind of building that up some more.
AJ Styles had something to say about that match, too. He said that Kazarian just keeps surprising him, because they came up together. They've worked together for a long time, and he keeps just surprising him with the stuff that he does. And Page and Kazarian had a great banger of a match. I'll just go ahead and chime in right now. Personally, I think that was actually my favorite match, my favorite moment of the week.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go. That's not a bad one. MJF defeated a jobber in about 2 seconds. And cut a really, as always, a good MJF promo. And even talked about stables. You can't get anywhere unless you're in a stable, so maybe I'll create my own. So we'll see. It's interesting. It's got my attention. So, I'm good. Eddie Kingston came out with Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros and cut a promo. First thing he says is he never lost that battle royale. So that was cool because he didn't. It was something.
Did he go through the middle rope?
Ropes. He went through the middle rope and then went up top and got knocked down. Yep. So
I never noticed that.
And then he blew by it, which was great. He didn't hang on it. He blew by. And then another thing is he told Blade to get his house in order, which basically means get your girl away from the Natural Nightmare. So that might be where they're heading in their next feud.
Interesting.
So they're teasing that. Yep.
I love Eddie Kingston on promo. And
so great.
Even more so, he is on AEW's Unrestricted podcast. If you haven't listened to that one, check it out on YouTube. It's real as it gets.
All right. Jericho and Hager beat Private Profits. That Thunder Rosa Evil East match we talked about was next. It was solid, but it was hard hitting. Miro, they did better this week of making him look like a badass because he looked like he could have just murdered you by sneezing. But they're still pushing this whole best man thing. I hope it's over soon. Jake Roberts and calls out Taz. They have a promo back and forth. They're kind of going to unite against Moxley and Allen and Will Hobbs. It's come out that Orange Cassidy will challenge Mr. Brody Lee for the TNT Championship. Why? I hope he squashes him in 5 seconds flat.
I don't think it's going to be a 5-second match. I think it will be like a Brock Lesnar match, though. I think they'll go 5 to 7 minutes where he'll get in a couple of good bursts of offense and you think that it's going to happen. He may even do that mouse trap on him or something real quick. But I can't wait to see when he just fucking murders him at the very end. That'll be my favorite part, is that clothesline. So I'm okay with that match. Cassidy's
Let's
building
see how
on
it
me. He's creeping up a little bit where I don't mind him as much. Definitely like him better than the shoe, Chuck Taylor.
Agreed.
Oh, shit. What a segue.
What a segue. Best in the business, Monty. Best Friends and Santana Ortiz had their little parking lot brawl, which actually, in the end, wasn't too horrible.
Now, that's a great way of saying it. It wasn't too horrible. Did you happen to see what Dave Meltzer wrote? He ranked it with a star ranking, above, the star ranking for that fucking parking lot match got better than both Michaels and Taker, things like that. Like, that's how high of a ranking he gave that match versus other things. The dude's a mark, and to credit someone that I read online, he is the biggest nobody to never have any information.
So, on time for our weekly Coronet drop-in here, somebody actually had wrote into the drive-thru and mentioned they did the work. I have not done the work, but I will do it for next week. That basically Matt Jackson has the highest amount of 5-star matches ever. What does that tell you?
Jesus.
What does that tell you?
So where else are they dropping that $5,000?
Yeah.
What was your top moment of the week?
It was this week was hard for me, man, because there was good stuff. NXT kind of seems to be in that middle phase where they're kind of setting stuff up. So nothing really jumped out at me. Priest and Thatcher was great. We knew it would. And Shirai and Blackheart, Shotzi Blackheart were great. But it was a small thing for me this week. That Adam Page and Kazarian match was very close. But the Eddie Kingston promo was just great. It caught your attention. I mean, if it was one of those moments, if you were on your phone, once you heard his voice, you put the phone down and you look up. You know,
reminds me of, oh man, when Eddie Guerrero used to get real heated and start screaming in the microphone. It's kind of what it reminds me of, man. Just a real heated promo. That's what Kingston reminds me of. I love him. Like I said, I got to catch a lot of his stuff when he was doing stuff with Ring of Honor and other promotions. Glad to see that he's finally on a TV network where people are actually going to be able to see him. A second place for me for a top moment. It's got to go to Trent's mom with the fucking middle finger. She's driving off. I mean, come on. Yeah. That's not a bad moment. You can't tell me when you saw it, you didn't go, I did. I mean, it was kind of like that's cool.
And Santana Ortiz dressed up Dead President style like they did with LAX.
Yo.
That was badass. That was badass.
Man, you're right.
And I really, and I feel really sad because both of these teams are hilarious. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Best friends in Santana and Ortiz. Because here's the thing. Santana could be a single star and possibly a champ one day. Trent could be a single star and a champion probably sooner than later. And then Ortiz and the Shoe are kind of just there. And I love Ortiz.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's Santana and Trent. Those are your guys that are going to end up in that main event picture one day.
I hate looking
and it just sucks. I hate to see Santana and Ortiz keep losing.
I'm with you on that. But maybe it's building towards something bigger, hopefully. Maybe.
Sure.
I was hoping they would have had the tag titles by now. That's
what I'm saying.
Just still, I'm in shock about. Why Omega and Page had to hold them that long didn't need to happen. Unless it was just because you were so worried about the Elite storyline. Then that's really stupid because you really pissed away a lot of opportunities right there when it came to Pride and Powerful or whatever they were.
Right.
But I see Santana one day could make himself. See, tell me, what is the tag team that everybody refers to when you break up? One's going to be one guy, one's going to be the other. Who is it? It's the most popular. One's going to go to be the real popular guy, the other one won't be. Do you know who
Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty.
Thank you. That's all it was. Exactly. Who's going to be the Marty Jannetty, right?
For
I
sure.
hate that because some teams have done, like Miz and Morrison. No one was really a Marty Jannetty in that scenario, right? Both were world champions in their rights. Now, I don't see it as a Michaels Jannetty thing, but I see Santana and Ortiz could be the Briscoes. Jay Briscoe was a world champion, had an awesome undefeated streak for a very long time in Ring of Honor, then went back and had multiple tag team championships with his brother again. I see Santana being the Jay Briscoe. I see Ortiz being the Mark Briscoe. Mark has been a TV champion. He's been, he's been not just a tag team champion. So,
right.
That means Ortiz could do the same thing. That gives me the same kind of hope for Trent. I think he could very well be a mid-card champion. I don't think he'll ever be a world champion, unfortunately. And Shoe.
Yeah, Shoe can go back in the closet.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for...
Best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Hold 2, arm bar.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss-covered, 3-handle family granunzel.
It's me, Austin.
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
I did it for The Rock.
This week's top topic.
You know something, Mean Gene? John Cena. Wrestling's not fake.
The Rolex wearing one. Diamond ring wearing one. Kid stealing. Woo. Wheeling dealing. One. Limousine riding. One. Jet flying. One. Son of a gun. Woo.
Sierra Hotel. India. Echo. Lima. Delta. Shield.
If you smell.
The following ranking order and final decisions are a completely bias-based order, based off The Professor and O.D.M. made it. And as always, they like to let you know they have not worked in the business, but have been lifelong invested fans, much like you, our listeners. With not only their opinions involved, but with countless amount of hours of research done each week, they make sure to provide proper facts and history to back it up. However, they do know that your opinion may vary from theirs. If there is anything you want to chat about, bring to their attention. If there is something they missed or forgot, or you just want to let them know they are out of their freaking minds, feel free to shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, or email them at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com. As always, they do appreciate all feedback and continued support. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that you do see the best of the best before you die. And now, this week's top topic.
It has been said that anything can happen here in the World Wrestling Federation, but now more than ever, truer words have never been spoken. This is a conscious effort on our part to open the creative envelope, so to speak, in order to entertain you in a more contemporary manner. Even though we call ourselves sports entertainment because of the athleticism involved, the key word in that phrase is entertainment. The WWF extends far beyond the strict confines of sports presentation into the wide-open environment of broad-based entertainment. We borrow from such program niches like soap operas, like The Days of Our Lives, or music videos such as those on MTV, daytime talk shows like Jerry Springer and others, cartoons like The King of the Hill on Fox, sitcoms like Seinfeld, and other widely accepted forms of television entertainment. We in the WWF think that you, the audience, are, quite frankly, tired of having your intelligence insulted. We also think that you're tired of the same old simplistic theory of good guys versus bad guys. Surely the era of the superhero who urged you to say your prayers and take your vitamins is definitely passé. Therefore, we've embarked upon a far more innovative and contemporary creative campaign that is far more invigorating and extemporaneous than ever before. However, due to the live nature of Raw and the War Zone, we encourage some degree of parental discretion as it relates to the younger audience allowed to stay up late. Other WWF programs on USA, such as Saturday Morning Live Wire and Sunday Morning Superstars, where there's a 40% increase in the younger audience, obviously, however, need no such discretion. We are responsible television producers who work hard to bring you this outrageous, wacky, wonderful world known as the WWF. Through some 50 years, the World Wrestling Federation has been an entertainment mainstay here in North America and all over the world. One of the reasons for that longevity is as the times have changed, so have we. I'm happy to say that this new, vibrant, creative direction has resulted in a huge increase in television viewership, for which we thank USA Network and TSN for allowing us to have the creative freedom, but most especially, we would like to thank you for watching. Raw and the War Zone are definitely the cure for the common show.
Well, the WWF has asked me to do a commentary on the state of wrestling in 1998. I guess they figured Cornette's always good for a couple of laughs. Well, I'm not really going to be too funny tonight. Because, you see, I think the state of wrestling in 1998 stinks. I think WCW stinks. I think the N.W.A stinks. I think ECW is embarrassing. And I think the WWF stinks. And I'll tell you why. You don't have to go back any further than last week on Raw. You got a guy coming out dressed like a Christmas tree. You got a woman coming out dressed like a reindeer. You got two adolescent mullet heads showing their butt cheeks on national TV and having a phony match for a championship. I think it stinks. I think it's disgusting. I think nobody has any respect for wrestling anymore. Where is wrestling? Not sports entertainment, but wrestling. You know, just a couple of years ago, I left my home in Tennessee and I moved to Connecticut, which is like trading a Hawaiian vacation for a bed in a cancer ward, to come to work for the WWF full-time, the biggest wrestling promotion in the history of the planet. And I moved to Connecticut with snow on the ground 7 months out of the year, real estate prices that would make Donald Trump's hair stand on end, the rudest bunch of people I've ever seen where English is a second language and traffic jams at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I think that's okay because I'm with the biggest wrestling promotion of all time, the WWF. But over the last couple of years, I don't see any wrestling. They got some great wrestlers around here, but they don't have any time to wrestle because of all the falderall and the nonsense going on. You see, what the problem is the people running the two big promotions, one guy is a game show host wannabe from Minneapolis with phony teeth, phony hair, and a phony tan. And running the WWF, you got a whole office building full of Yankees from New York City that wouldn't know a wrestling match if it bit them. So they sit around all day listening to people on the internet, and the people on the internet wouldn't know a wrist lock from a wrist watch. I don't particularly care what some Yankee from New York City wants to see. I want to see wrestling matches with wrestlers. I want to see real old-fashioned wrestling. I want to see some people who have some respect for the traditions of the wrestling industry, have some respect for the sport of wrestling. I don't want to see sports entertainment and flying donkeys all around. I think it's garbage, I think it's insulting, and I think it's a shame to a fine sport like this. Down south where I come from, they know wrestling. They were brought up on it. They grew up on it, and they respect it. And I think it's about time that the promoters in the wrestling industry today recognize that wrestling fans watching a wrestling program want to see wrestlers wrestle. That's easy. It's not too hard to understand if you just think about it. But the problem is that nobody has any respect for tradition. Well, I got news for you. I got respect for tradition, and I've always been associated with real good old-fashioned wrestling, a sport of wrestling, not a circus sideshow, not a cartoon show. And if nobody else is going to bring some wrestling around here, then maybe it's going to be up to Jim Cornette. So that might be my New Year's resolution for 1998. I might bring some tradition, I might bring some real wrestling back and clear this whole mess out because I think it stinks. So there's my address, there's my opinion, there's my commentary. Do with it what you want. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, bah humbug, I'm out of here.
All right. I have waited long enough to talk about the era that everybody is so happy about. Now, I want to preface my entire next segment here. I'm not here to say that I disliked all of these things. I'm just saying, as a man who grew up on wrestling. Now, a little background. I'm not sure if I ever have actually said it. First purchased pay-per-view. Well, not me. We'll be honest here. But when I was a kid, first pay-per-view I had in my house, Survivor Series 89. So, from there, then we go to WrestleMania 6. You got 7. You have SummerSlam. I got to see Hart and Perfect Tornado like we talked about a couple weeks ago. I grew up on wrestling. And I understood that the era of, as the promo said, taking your vitamins and saying your prayers, that is simply passé, as McMahon says. And I'm not here to be Mr. Jim Cornette, as we remember his shoot promos as well, letting you know how he felt about the state of wrestling today. I'm just saying it was a lot of filth, it was a lot of garbage, and I didn't need to tune in every week to really give a shit. That, yes, I understand you had high ratings, because what zany stuff could they do this week? I don't know. Here, I want to say this, though. I'm not going to discredit people like Steve Austin, Undertaker, The Rock, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, Kane, Mick Foley, Triple H. All of those guys, I'm sure you're going to have lots to talk about next week, O.D.M. Lots of great stuff. These guys were involved with some of the stuff I'd even bring up today. But the truth is that that's what's really remembered when we talk about the Attitude Era. You had your Austin 316 shirts. You had the Do You Smell What the Rock Is Cooking shirts. Three Faces of Foley or Cactus Jack shirt. Time to Play the Game, right? I mean, everybody had different wrestling shirts. It was cool to finally be a wrestling fan. All of a sudden, you joined that bandwagon. Right. And I'm not necessarily saying it was just a bandwagon, but let's be honest, it was a freaking bandwagon. All of a sudden, everybody in 97 and 98 they were watching wrestling, and I was like, that's cool, but wait, I was told I was like, I don't know, what's the proper term I'm even allowed to use nowadays? I don't know. Less of a man, we'll call it, for watching wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, I got what you're saying.
Like that terminology? But, you know, it was the highest ratings ever, and it was non-wrestling. And what's crazy is that in that time frame, you have the things that were going on in our lives. You have the O.J. Simpson murder. You have the Bill Clinton scandal. You have a lot of these things going on, right, where we're seeing changes, rebelling, things like that. And WWE says, oh, is that what you guys want? Well, we can give it to you. But is that what we get now? No way, Jose. Sorry.
You just wanted to work that in, didn't you?
I did. Did you see it was written in there?
I did. I was going to say something about it one way or another.
You're like, why is that written in there?
I did have to reread it a couple times.
But today is, talking about what really is, to me, the worst of the Attitude Era. There was a lot of crap. And today I'm going to talk about 10/11 of the worst moments that were the Attitude Era. And O.D.M, please feel free to jump in at any time, and you can dispute anything you want to, because I promise you next week I'll probably do the same thing. So feel free to debate. My honorable mention is the Montreal Screwjob. Why is that a part of it? A lot of people, I personally think, everybody thinks the Attitude Era started pretty much 98, the beginning of that. And I have said it. You go back to Canadian Stampede, things like that. You had attitude back then with the Hart Foundation. DX was just beginning, things like that. The Montreal Screwjob was a bad decision. It was a bad decision because you took what I think was still one of your best wrestlers. And maybe, I'm a Bret Hart mark. Let's all get past that too, by the way. I'm a pink and black attack guy. The issue that I have is that you pissed him away and didn't need to, and it did no good for anyone. He went over to WCW, had issues. We're going to talk about things that were kind of downfall, trickling effects of all that later on. To be honest with you, that's why it makes an honorable mention. It's one of the worst things that ever happened, I think, for the Attitude Era, was just that altogether. Now, please, go on. Do you have something to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, to me, I think that's one of the defining moments of what kicked off with the Attitude Era.
Well, it was because that's when McMahon ends up doing his 100%. That's when the McMahon character was born.
Yep.
Now, again, these are top 10. Everything has a subject line, okay? Everything has a subject line, whether it's, like the last one was Montreal Screwjob, right? But you said, Mark, keep it to 10. You can only go 10 this week. All right, man. So number 10 is the subject line, the garbage that it was. Tits and ass, dog food matches, pillow fights, cat fights, lingerie fights, pool of substance fight, dog kennel from hell match, inferno match, dumpster match, beaver cleaver, choppy your pee-pee, a porn star, an 80-year-old woman giving birth to a hand, her two older legend brothers ripping off their shirts and putting on a dress to fight each other after being yes men all day long, a posse from the mean streets of fucking Connecticut, fake miscarriage angles, oddities with a bunch of jobbers and John Tenta as a fat cartman, necrophilia, chop crotches, sucking things, watching a murder hanging by a noose at WrestleMania 15, jumping on a dragging casket at your dad's funeral, marrying an unconscious and clearly non-consenting woman, Vader declaring that he is a fat piece of shit, poo-poo jokes, and telling your boss to kiss your ass. The last one is okay.
Yeah, I think that's really the only case that you have to make, but I can't wait to see where you go from here.
All right. Anything that you would say is not up to par, or you think it was too good of a thing that it didn't need to be part of worst?
Listen, I've glanced at this list, so there's not a whole lot that I'm gonna say until the end because I think you summarize everything pretty well at the
enough.
end. But yeah, everything in here, the fact that the pool of substance fights, yeah, it's dog food matches, and they just did that with Roman not too long ago, so I guess we'll have it die hard. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of shit, and I can't dispute that.
Marrying an unconscious and clearly non-consenting woman. That part, when I wrote that down, I go, that's a thing.
I remember watching that segment live, yeah.
Yeah, me too, and being like, well, that's weird. You know what, though?
That's not cool.
Something I got to bring up about that is that, she was in the middle of marrying Test in the middle of that angle. That happens. And then she aligns herself with Triple H at the pay-per-view just right after at Armageddon 99. That was pretty much it for Test. That was it.
It was.
And it was kind of like, I really feel like Triple H is like, hey, I'm kind of really dipping it in her. we're just going to do a quick little split here, and you're going to go your way, and I'm going to go mine. How about this? We'll put you in the corporation. No? All right. How about, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really weird how that all played out, I think. Coming in at number 9, we talked about this because of Dark Side of the Ring made a giant impact talking about it, and we learned some things we never knew before. We're talking about the Brawl for All tournament. We didn't know what we had when it was going to be brought to us, and I think WWE didn't even know what they had on hand when they started presenting it. They were putting all of their eggs in one basket. They all thought Dr. Death, Steve Williams, was going to do this whole thing. He was going to run through everybody on the card, especially because that's what Jim Ross said was going to happen, right? You had guys on there that could actually fight. Bart Gunn being obviously one of them. Bradshaw, is a badass guy. The Godfather, he can swing. And then we also have Mark Marrow is a part of that. But nope. Instead, we have him jobbing out to his wife. We brought him over from WCW from being Johnny B. Bad. And in the Attitude Era, we have him jobbing out to Sable. That is a worse idea. But all of this was to make Bradshaw mad, according to Vince Russo. He said the whole reason he made the Brawl for All tournament was to see Bradshaw get laid out. I'm sorry. I just want to get this straight. You wanted to see physical harm happen to technically a coworker? Okay. Really interesting. One punch, that dude would be down. Talking Vince Russo, by the way.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me fix this mic here. We're live, pal. And then only to give Bart Gunn an unforgettable WrestleMania moment that basically took away his entire career. Because he wasn't Dr. Death Steve Williams. They fed him to the wolves. They fed him to a big wolf, Butterbean. I just don't know where thought processes were throughout this whole thing. I mean, that was just a bad idea. I mean, nowadays we see guys getting hurt because they do 45 tope suicidas, but I mean, could you imagine right nowadays, if they did a tournament like this? Most of these guys I don't think could last. Unless you're putting the Riddles and Thatchers in there. Most of them couldn't do this. So why would you have ever done it in the first place? It's not the place for it. Not a big fan of it. Coming in at number 8, we've talked about this a lot. Taking spots too far sometimes. For instance, when I say taking spots too far, really, really putting everything on the line. And for what? Ratings? I get it. Ratings is the biggest thing. That's what we're here for. We're trying to beat WCW. 11? Was it 11 chair shots that Mankind took?
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah. It was about a dozen.
About a dozen chair shots at Royal Rumble 99. Then, was that his reward for falling off and through the cell as well? You know what I mean? Because that happened just right before that, 9 months prior. Right. We also have Shawn Michaels taking an unnecessary flip over a casket in a casket match at the Royal Rumble in 98 and taking off 4 years of his career. Same sense, probably the best thing for him ever, because rightfully so is how he said how pilled up he was. He needed to be away from the business, which is good. But, still. And Rikishi, Jesus, being thrown off of the top of the cell onto your back. Yeah, there was a bunch of hay or whatever that was in that truck, but unnecessary stuff. For what reason? Did you want people to die? Were you not seeing enough guys dying on the dime? Fucking Brian Pillman dying. Owen Hart died fucking in Over the Edge 99. And in 2000 Armageddon, you're throwing Rikishi off of a fucking cell onto his back? What were you thinking? I feel like I sound like a father right now.
Yeah, you got a little bit of that going on, but that's all right. Trying to make a point. I don't blame you, though. Yeah, listen, ultimately, it plays into everything, right? Each point is its own individual point, but they all play into each other. The fact that it was ratings based. It was reality TV before reality TV. This isn't wrestling anymore. It's a TV show, which is why you had those big crowds and everybody's wearing the T-shirts. And
right.
from a monetary standpoint, it's hard to get away from. But yeah, this shit was just too bad. And you know, at this point, it's hard to really say anything with regards to Mick Foley, because at this point he's already been doing it. You know, his death match in Japan with Funk.
Yep.
He had done this for a while, so now he was able to do what he was already doing and make a living off of it. But yeah, the chair shots, the one with Rock at Royal Rumble 99 was one of the worst ones ever. It was just terrifying, and there was really no need to go to that extent just to try to draw some ratings.
At a pay-per-view that people already bought at that point, too, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, people already bought the pay-per-view. You're already in the match. You didn't need to take that many chair shots.
Right.
You know, it's funny, I brought up Rikishi, being thrown off the cell. Well, let's talk about that. Number 7, Rikishi. Rikishi did it for The Rock. Are you fucking kidding me? I actually wrote that in there as a subject line, Rikishi, ? Are you fucking kidding me, ?
I think that's really all you have to say.
It was a blonde-haired person, okay? It was a blonde-haired person. We all thought Triple H. Okay, very easy. You could have made Edge. You could have made Christian. Fuck, I don't care if it was Jeff Jarrett. Rikishi. And not only did he do it, he did it for The Rock. He didn't even do it to get himself over. And then they say months later, after we all shit on it, nah, it was Triple H. We got you. Fuck. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Enough said. No, number 6, I'm going to spend very little time on because I didn't like it at all. Hawk's suicide attempt. While Draws and Animal are in the ring because Hawk is away mending himself because he's got a substance abuse problem. Oh, no. I'm not just saying this. The fucking announcers are saying this, by the way. Everybody's saying this. They're exploiting it on TV. It's kind of like when Scott Hall was exploiting all of his alcoholism on Nitro. Hey, we could talk about that one day, but that wasn't dubbed in the Attitude Era for Nitro, whatever that was called. And then Draws goes up and fucking pushes him off. No cops. No. Jesus Christ. And then Hawk fucking dies not too long after anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
That was okay with everybody? We good?
Yeah.
Again, this is the best thing ever, man. The Attitude Era was so cool, dude. Sorry. Number 5. Look at, I'm not trying to sound like I'm jumping on a bandwagon now in a way, but women being treated badly. I mean, really, when you just look at it. In 1994, 95, you were pushing Alundra Blaze, man. That was your girl, and you were pushing women's wrestling. I didn't care about women's wrestling as a kid, but now I was like, well, I keep seeing her win, so I'm in. Okay, I'm in. I'm on the Alundra Blaze bandwagon. To the point where when she got her title back at SummerSlam 94, it was a big thing, when she lost her title to Bull Nakano and then ends up winning it back. That was big, right? I mean, that's what you want. You want me to get into it. And the moment that Alundra threw that fucking title in the trash, WWE, instead of capitalizing and trying to make women better than Alundra Blaze, they just treated every woman that came there like trash, minus China. I mean, they were just used as sex objects only. Again, those the substance in a pool match, lingerie matches. Some of those were women, some of them fucking weirdly enough were guys. Man, it was just really a bad time, and when you really look at what women wrestling has become nowadays, it's like, what did we miss? Because Sherry Martel, you made her a manager, but did she need to be? She could wrestle back in the day. I'm just saying, I mean, things didn't get better until 2002 or 3 when Trish and Lita started getting into there, and then you had Jazz. You started bringing in Ivory, the heavy hitters, Victoria,
Mickey James.
Yeah, that was when things were probably the real good kickstart to a good women's direction. Attitude Era was just dog shit. There's not. I mean, Okay, so Sable put someone's hands over her boobs, painted it, and got to see it. Guess what? I can see sex stuff anytime I wanted to. I had scramble vision just like we all did. Freeze, 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 and there's a nipple, and squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. So I'm just saying that, thank God we're at where we're at right now with women in wrestling, because holy shit, if they were still doing this today, WWE wouldn't even be in business after with everything that's been going on in our society, if I could just say that. Number 4, talked about one of them already, Shane. Then we have Stephanie, Linda, and Vince. They are the fucking hub of everything. It's all McMahon's all the time. First, you had your Boss and Austin storyline. That I'm cool with, man. I thought that was all right. But then it just kept going. And now Stephanie's being abducted. And then she's marrying Triple H. And Triple H is a son-in-law. And then at WrestleMania, every fucking McMahon is in a corner of someone. Really? Really? Did all that shit have to happen? It was stupid, man. And Shane even pretending to be a wrestler is even worse. Yeah, so we could do some glorified jumps and stuff. That's cool. I think that's awesome. At the same point, do it once a year, and I would have been fine with that. You're doing way too much, and no one gave a fuck about you. No one was buying Shane O'Mac shirts. Should I say anything more about the McMahons, or should I keep that going?
You already mentioned the Mean Street Posse, and we all know how Stephanie inserts herself into everything, or vice versa, or hey-o. No, I think we're good.
Ooh, yeah, dig in. All right, coming in at number 3, we have 2 to 3 minute wrestling matches. Wrestling, I say that oddly because whatever the fuck it was. Every match ended in a schmoz. Whether it was a countout, DQ, whatever it was. They had like 13 matches on each Raw for a 2-hour show. We can't get that many right now on a 3-hour show. But on a 2-hour show, we were getting that many because they could do 2 matches in a segment because of how fast they were. Someone would come in, join the ring, lock up, bam, here comes The Undertaker to beat everybody's ass. Whatever the case is. It was just... You were shitting in the way the word wrestling. You were World Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Entertainment. And everything was multi-person matches. 3, 4, 3-way, 4-way. Look at WrestleMania 15 and 16. Barely singles matches. WrestleMania 16 had 1 singles match, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it had none, if I'm not mistaken. One or the other. And that's WrestleMania 2000, as they like to dub it. That's WrestleMania 16. 15... 17, all of them had a lot of multi-team, multi-person matches. It was never just one-on-one because they had way too many people. You know what else they had a lot of? Way too many titles, because that comes in at number 2. During the Attitude Era, you had your Intercontinental title and you had your tag team titles. You let them just go to the wayside. You started giving them to people that didn't matter. And then you said, oh, cool, let's throw in the European title. Let's throw in the hardcore title. Let's throw in the lightweight title. They throw all that in. And then when they inquire WCW, they say, cool, now we got the U.S. Championship. We have the... it was just everybody had a fucking title and it didn't matter. And all it did was diminish the prestige of every one of those titles and everybody that held it before that. The Intercontinental title, we said it went to shit basically somewhere in that 99-ish era, right? Somewhere around there, 98, 99. Tag titles, probably not too far along around there, maybe even before that. We'd have to dive into the rise and fall of tag titles, to be honest with you. It was just, it was a place that was filled with way too many championships. And the more they had, the less that we cared. And even when they trimmed them down, we didn't care because you already shit on them all.
Yep.
You took the U.S. title and Intercontinental title, put them together, named it the Intercontinental title, and I still didn't give a shit. Because then you put it with the world title and then brought it back 6 months later. The point is that they didn't care about their championships. They still don't. Let me ask you this question. Is Roman Reigns a world champion? No, he's a universal champion.
Universal.
But when we tally up, are you going to say he was a 10-time world champion or he was a 4-time Universal Champion and a 6-time World Champion. I think it's dumb. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah.
We can get into that another day. But coming in at number 1, was there any surprise that this was my number 1? Nope, not at all.
It ties it all together.
Really does. The one that brings you smut, the one that does not know anything of wrestling and still doesn't today. We're talking about the man that was the reason for Owen Hart's death. He was the reason that there was so much shit on your television. Not good shit. Just really stupid, bad shit on your television. We're talking about Vince Russo. That's right. I'm on that bandwagon when it comes to Jim Cornette. I'm with him. Fuck Vince Russo. My favorite thing about Jim Cornette is he said he just wants to live long enough to go over to Russo's grave and piss on it. That's all he wants to do. Dear God, I don't wish death upon people. I just hope it happens when I'm around to see all this stuff, because that could be like huge media coverage. Bro. Bruce Pritchard does it the best. He goes, so how did he pitch the Inferno match? Bro, we're going to set him on fire. And then chewing the gum. Yep, that's him. Mr. I don't know anything. Got into wrestling somehow. I mean, fuck. All right. Eric Bischoff was a executive producer. You know what I mean? He wasn't really a wrestling guy, but made his way around the ropes and learned. Russo just came in and started throwing out all this stupid ideas and takes credit for all the most infamous things in the world, but will refuse to take credit for some of the other things that he's done that was really bad, including what I said. I believe it. We all believe it. It's been said multiple times. Vince Russo is the reason Owen Hart did not live past May 23rd, 1999.
Yep.
Fuck Vince Russo. He's the reason for worst moments of the Attitude Era. To me, the Attitude Era was built on smut. It was built on everything other than wrestling. Not trying to sound like a 95-year-old man saying, in my time, we used to like wrestling where they wore the tights. And in the end, they shook hands. But they didn't because they protected kayfabe.
That was creepy.
Thank you.
Here's a good way.
Wow, how old am I now? I forgot what the fuck I was saying.
Here's a good way to encapsulate what you're saying, right? Everything that I'm going to bring up next week that was good about the Attitude Era is none of it will be credited to Vince Russo.
And that's good.
Everything bad that you brought up today is credited to Vince Russo.
Well, that's very, very true. You just really looking back in what could have been sprinkled in wrestling with your shit could have been huge. Could have made wrestling huge. Make people enjoy wrestling. They enjoyed storylines to the point that when you decide to start bringing in credible wrestlers like your Benoits, your Mysterios, and all those guys, people were like, well, now we actually want to see the athleticism. Those fair weather fans who just wanted to see the tits and ass, they took off. And where did that get you? Okay, so you put a company out of business. Congrats. Now what? What's next? Ruthless aggression. It's good shit. Sorry. We watched that Firefly Funhouse match, and I just, it was just...
Yeah, that was great. That was good to revisit.
Well, I can't wait to hear what O.D.M. has to say next week when it comes to the top of the Attitude Era. Today was fun. I am going to say, if you're hearing static towards the end here, on your end, I apologize. Something happened with the microphone halfway through today's show, but I couldn't ask O.D.M. to re-record this one more time. So, because I am traveling again. At least the good news is he won't be able to punch me in the dick. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for listening to the Top of Wrestling podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We have a lot of great stuff on the way the rest of this season. We've already been talking about it, and definitely stay tuned. And O.D.M. is going to leave us all with a little bit of words of wisdom, if he will.
What does dumb fuck mean?
You must be out of your goddamn mind. Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived. Fuck compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Mountain ain't shit.
Get Joe Louis' ass.
That's right, he did whoop Joe Louis' ass. He was going for 75 years old when he fought. I don't know how old he was, but he got an ass whooping.
A man has the right to change his name. God damn it, this is a free country. You should respect his wishes and call the man Muhammad Ali.
His mama named him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
You should change the name outside to the Three Putzes.
Put it in the face, right? I like this.
Isn't that better?
Yes! Yes!
What are you doing? It's just a halftime.
Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Who was that?
Just the man I met in the restroom.
It would be wise for you to put the weapon down.
Who the fuck is this asshole?
Please refrain from using any further obscenities in the presence of these people.
Fuck you!
Freeze, you diseased rhinoceros pizzle.
Very happy to be here. Hey, it's Kunta Kinte.
Round of applause. Mr. Randy Watson. Yes!
Aha! Aha! What do you know from funny, you bastard?